Hi, everybody. It's me, Inonge. Um, let's see, it's Monday, and I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and a good day. Um, I'm back. You can count on me to ask my, questioning thoughts of modern days idols and false doctrines. So, yes, I see that we have been doing a whole bunch of idol worshiping, lots of idol worshiping going on. And what I mean by that is the idols can be things, they can be people, they can be doctrines. And um, idol worshiping is putting our hopes and our dreams, our disgust, and also our uh, sense of who we think, our high selves onto somebody, you know, onto individuals. We make them representatives of us, either the parts of ourselves that we cannot accept, or we expect them to be representatives of the highest or the best version of ourselves. And then the same goes for doctrines. False doctrines, from my perspective, are doctrines or ideologies that basically say to us that physical things will solve our problems. If we do the right thing, what they think is the right thing, or if we follow this formula, then we can solve the problems. So, yeah, idols and false doctrines. And this morning, I sat up in bed and I didn't have my notebook on my bedside table. So I got my phone, and these are the things that I wrote down. Neo-segregationism, core media, and by core, that's, culture of racism is everywhere. So the mainstream media I consider to be the core media, as well as, the big social media companies as well. And I also wrote down patterns, parallels, and the history of human sacrifice for the greater good. Okay, what do I mean by that? Um, so I wrote a few notes over here, and I wrote down for posterity versus for prosperity. And I think I must have been inspired by a Dinesh D'Souza lecture that one of his more recent lectures that I watched yesterday. He was at Dartmouth University lecturing a bunch of students, and there were a few students who were disruptive and they were fascists, and they were calling him a fascist because obviously they didn't understand what fascism truly is. They were disruptive. They eventually left. But this was after he had explained to one of the students who asked a question, what is the difference between Democrats and Republicans? And I mean, I've known this for a while, but I'm glad that I was reminded of it. He said that the Democrat Party is the party of the rope, and the Republican Party is the party of the ladder. So the party of the rope holds a rope down over a very tall building, and it says, just hold on and we will pull you up. Just all you have to do is hold on. So you hold on to the rope, and they will pull you up halfway or almost to the top, but not all the way to the top. So you wind up living in a state of perpetual dependence. Um, and because you're not doing much, you can't gain your independence, and you're constantly dependent on the government. And for people who, well, I don't want to go. I'm trying to keep it simple. That's another talk. So the party of the ladder, the Republican Party, says, okay, here's a ladder for you to climb up. You have to give your effort, but the government is a ladder. Our job is to keep the ladder steady for you. Keep it there and keep it steady. keep you safe so you can climb your way up to the top, but you have to use your own effort. And once you're at the top, when you get to the top, we're not going to push you down. We're not going to prevent you from getting onto the roof. You get onto the roof, you're on the roof, that's it. Okay. So I love storytelling. I'm a storyteller. I understand things, and I think most of us do, through metaphor, metaphor and parable, and also through pictures and like being able to envision things. So I must have been inspired by that lecture, because I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, for posterity, or for prosperity, or for prosperity. Prosperity. What do I mean by that? It's very similar to the party of the ladder versus the party of the rope. I went to bed last night feeling really troubled over why so many Black people are sticking with the Democrat Party. I was like, why? I just don't get it. I mean, the Democrat Party has really, on a physical sense, done not that much for us, and in fact has created this structure for us to be dependent on it. And and it started really with Lyndon Baines Johnson's war on poverty and incentivizing Black women to not be married and to be dependent on the government. Then fewer and fewer Black men were in the home, and then Black boys especially need their fathers, and when they don't, everything just kind of gets wonky, and then we have what we have, right? We have Black men killing each other at let's put it this way: if it were a race of men killing Black men at the rates, then we would call it a genocide. But since it's Blacks killing Blacks, we don't seem to care very much. And certainly Black Lives Matter really doesn't, it's not a thing for Black Lives Matter. Anyway, so for posterity, or for prosperity. I'm sorry, this is so getting tongue-tied. Posterity means doing something for the future. It's sort of like doing something for posterity is doing something for the greater good, doing something now for posterity's sake, for history's sake, for being in textbooks' sake, for being in movies and documentaries, and for the sake of the historical narrative. I feel, and this is just my opinion, I feel like the narrative of the Democratic Party is, okay, Black people, here's the deal. You will sacrifice your integrity now. You will sacrifice your education. You will sacrifice your relationships with each other. You will sacrifice your children. You will sacrifice them now for posterity. And we are going to help you understand this vision. And we are not going to tell you outright like this, but we will communicate this to you in nonverbal ways and through marketing in a roundabout way, but corral you into believing that what you're doing is good, and actually accepting this notion of we're going to vote for Democrats for posterity. And that is why, like, for example, there's this piece of artwork with Kamala Harris walking with her business suit on, and she's walking by this wall, and her shadow is the shadow of, what is this young girl's name? Is it Ruby? Oh my gosh, let me look it up. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Darn it. Can't remember her name. Anyway, everybody's seen it. It's making its rounds. So it is this little black girl who integrates a public school. This is like 1950 something, and the National Guard, the federal government, the National Guard protected her, and then there were these like angry, frightened white protesters because they had been fed the narrative that black people are dangerous and all of that, and they believed it and they acted on it. So, so even if I just feel like even if black people are not conscious of this, they know that if we if we band together, we stick together, we get Kamala Harris into the White House, then she will be another first for us. And imagine 100, 200 years in the future, there will be this historical narrative of the first female black president. And we are going to take this opportunity now because we might not have the opportunity again. So we are willing to sacrifice our integrity for the greater good, for posterity. And anybody who doesn't go along with the program, of course, we've got the trigger words: Uncle Tom, sell out, Oreo. Well, people don't say that so much anymore, but you know what I mean, coon. Any black person who goes, oh, wait a minute, then there's going to be a lot of hatred coming towards them. It's sort of like it's a control technique. But anyway, so that is an agreement. Not every black person is falling for it, but in the moment, it feels good. It feels euphoric. It feels like we have arrived. We've made it. We've done it. We've got power. We're overturning the system. We're overturning white supremacy. And with a Biden-Harris administration, well, first of all, the Biden part is not going to last too long because Harris is going to become president soon, because something's going to happen to Biden after not very long. Either he's going to, well, a friend of mine said, oh, he's going to get, coronavirus. And I think that the media is going to turn on him and call him a white supremacist. They're just going to, that's what I think is going to happen. But in any case, something's going to happen, and she will become the first black president of the United States. I've been talking about this a lot, about how it's easy to get duped when we look at things from a physical standpoint. Because when we look at Kamala Harris's record, she has her record, well, we know her record with incarcerating black men for, marijuana violations, or not not doing what she should have for our Catholic community with, pedo mesos priests. And I don't use the word phile because phile means love and mesos means hate. So people who hate children do sexual stuff to them, and I refuse to use the word pedo, So the marketing, there's this like really slick marketing push. They've like hired, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of journalists, article writers, and then there's AI as well. It's very much involved, like writing articles or creating ads or creating these little marketing pieces to take our attention away from what Kamala Harris's true record is. And her record has been inhumane and anti-black, and there are thousands of black families who are hurting to this day because of decisions that she made. So anybody can go and look, but I'm not emotional about either thing. Either way, I'm not personally emotional about it. I am fascinated by how all of this is unfolding, how the drama, the narrative is unfolding. And like I said, I went to bed last night and I was troubled because I was like, I don't understand why Black people would vote Kamala Harris in, knowing her record, and I don't understand why they are celebrating her now. And are they not thinking about how are they not thinking about the policies that she's promising to enact once she gets in office? Like, for example, she wants to implement a nationwide social crediting system that's similar to China's, where you do something wrong and your social credit score goes down, and if it goes low enough, then I don't know if it's going to be as severe as in China, but I'll give China example. You can't rent a home, you can't buy a home, you can't travel outside of your city or your district, you can't buy a plane ticket or a train ticket. There are all of these, there's so many things that you cannot do. Like, and in China, there are what, five cameras per citizen. So if you jaywalk, the facial recognition technology, even if you're wearing a mask, it's going to recognize your irises, will literally, depending on where in China, what city it is. I think that, I can't remember the name of the city, where it's pretty severe, but there are cameras that literally shame you, public cameras that shame you and say what your violations are. So, and that social crediting system keeps people in poverty for life and literally living in a jail, prison. It's like outdoor prison or wallless prison or invisible wall prison or whatever. So this narrative of cult of racism is everywhere, core, this cult that we've all been indoctrinated into. And some people are like, nope. And other people are like, yes, this feels good, but whatever. And there are people in between. The point that I'm making is this cult of racism is everywhere. Basically is the thing, this belief system that's holding everything together. My goodness. I wish somebody would get her. She can hear me talking. Hold on. Okay. So, yes. So for posterity or for prosperity. Now, if you're somebody who votes, and it's the difference between context and content, right? What I've noticed about people who vote Republican and conservatives and Republicans, they are thinking about for prosperity, and they're voting thinking ahead for prosperity. So it's not for getting in history books and being the first and how it's going to look to people in the future. They're voting for policies that are friendly to having prosperity, that are friendly to having freedom, that are friendly to having the ability to protect your own life and your property, that are friendly to they're friendly to the government being, I guess, like smaller and leaner and in the service of the people and not people in the service of the government. And it is, like I said, very similar to having a worldview that is a content worldview or a context worldview, or, a ladder worldview or a rope worldview. And when I got it this morning, when I woke up, I was like, and it's understandable. It's totally, totally understandable why Black people feel threatened when other Black people say, I've had enough of the Democratic Party promises, every 4 years or every 2 years, and never fulfilling on the promises. And I've had it with the Democratic Party's hateful, divisive rhetoric and telling us that everything in life comes down to um, our obligation to dismantle white supremacy. And if you're not working on it, then you're a traitor. I've had it with the groupthink. I've had it with the mob mentality. I've had it with accepting failing schools or schools that are failing our children. I've had it with not being able to have school choice. I've had it, you know, and for Black people who are looking for a different way or a better way, or just to create something new, or to go where action, there's like real action that's taking place and lives are really being um, transformed. I mean, they're blacklisted. So uh, that's just, take my thoughts or leave them. It makes no difference to me. I like where my thoughts are going because I'm able to kind of see things more and more deeply and more circumspectly. And for me, also, it's helping me to understand where people are coming from. I think most people are coming from a fear state, and I understand fear. But my it softened my perception of people, my perceptions. It softened my heart. Not that my heart was hard or anything like that, but just softened my heart more. I get it where people are coming from. I understand if if your motivation is to do something as a team for posterity, I guess I'll liken it to how, like in the States, there are people, their ideology is Moorish. So they're Black Americans. Well, most of them, their forefathers were Christians, and they didn't want anything to do with Christianity, and they became Moors. And the linchpin of their, and I could be wrong, so if you're Moorish, please chastise me, correct me, I don't mind. But, for 700 years, the Moors uh, ruled Spain. And the Moors were Black and the Moors were Muslim. And it's debatable. I know that there were some Moorish kings and leaders and generals and all of that, but I also know like the Black Moors or the Blackamoors. But the fact is that Spain was ruled by it for 700 years. And for the modern day Moors, that, that is the posterity. It's like there's this, come here. There is pride, there's pride and there's validation. Um, and that's what matters. Now, as for the quality of life that the everyday Moor, like Black Moor in Spain, led, I don't know. They might have, the majority of them might have been, they were slaves of the Arabs, but that doesn't matter because they were high ranking Black Moors who ruled Spain, and that is a source of pride. So to me, there's that parallel with here in the United States. We had Barack Obama for 8 years, and in that 8 years, the quality of life and the wealth of Black people actually went down. Um, but he's given us posterity, and it's like we all rallied around him for posterity. So this is a source of pride for us, and now we need to take it up another level. Now we have a Black woman who potentially will be the president of the United, and potentially will be the vice president of the United States. And we rally around her because that is for posterity, because our descendants in the future, that will be a source of pride for them. Never mind that right now, um, and from my perspective, knowing her character, and it's reflected in her record of public service, which was very damaging to many people, especially Black people. We're willing to make that sacrifice now for us now, our children, and the future. We're sacrificing our lives and our integrity for posterity. And it makes total sense to me. I'm not upset about it. I'm just relieved to like understand it, so that I can move on to other things to learn about, like this, what is it, the Lincoln Project and this 1776 something. I don't know if it's called a project or what. And then there's also this movement, this revisionist history movement trying to abolish the electoral college. Um, I've known for a long time that people want to abolish the electoral college, but there is this like new movement as well. No, 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 you come here. Bring me the ball. 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 She's not listening. I'm not moving. So, party of the rope, party of the ladder, whatever people's decisions are. I'm not God, so I'm not going to say somebody is bad for having choosing their views of how we should be governed. But I'm going to be talking more and more about this, about CORE, which is the cult of racism is everywhere and how damaging it is to all Americans. And I think it's 10 times more damaging to Black Americans. No, because what this deconstructing white supremacy, this whole, you know, Marxist thought and everything, and cultural, oh my God, what is it called again? Anyway, seeing white supremacy and everything and trying to tear down institutions and rewriting history and the whole narrative and the expectations of Black people, or shall we say the lack of expectations of Black people, or shall we say the acceptance of Black people manifesting the worst behavior and then being excused for it because we're Black, and just let us do what we've got to do. And then also the constant reminder, this narrative that Black people, the narrative of our oppression is psychologically, what's the word? It's psychologically abusive. Yeah, it's just, that's another video or post or something like that. I want to end this with saying, who am I to tell a person how to live? I'm not God. Only God knows what's best for us, right? And we can pray and meditate and put ourselves into a state of peace to know intuitively what's best for us. But as far as what's best for somebody else, I don't know. And for all of those people, Black, white, purple striped, whatever, if you at this day and age with the internet and free access to any question you have answered, if you still, after all this time, believe that Trump and his supporters and all Republicans and conservatives are racists, then all that says to me is that you are a segregationist. You are a segregationist because if you were not a segregationist, you would have quite a few friends who are conservatives and Republicans, and then you would understand the platform and you would understand Trump and his supporters, and it would be no big deal, and you would not believe that a whole group, a whole category of people are evil, backward, stupid, whatever, dumb, and should be punished. So if you believe that, you are a segregationist, and you are a bigot, because if your language about other people is stereotyping them and speaking about them in a hateful way and speaking about them as if they are threats, then you are a bigot. That's all I can say. And if you're committed to dismantling, indeed you are committed to dismantling white supremacy, and you are committed to diversity and equity, then you will get yourself out there and talk to people who the media says are your enemies, and you'll find out for yourself what they really believe and how human they actually are. And yes, there are racists all over the place, and there are racists in both parties. But really, the hard racists, from like a color standpoint, are this small, and you don't have to believe the hype. So that's all I can say. I'll just keep saying it. This is an amazing time we're in, and a wonderful opportunity to, um, shall I say, learn how to see in the spirit, learn how to see beyond the physical form, learn how to feel energies, learn how to take responsibility for the nasty little spirits that we allow to dwell within us. Um, and um, like I said, I am not God, so I'm not going to point the finger at anybody and define who they are. That's for them to define who they are. In the meantime, I'm going to keep learning how to love myself, and learning how to love other people, and figure out how we can make life for all life forms just a little bit better, a little bit easier, make a little bit more sense, be more practical, solve problems. And that's the end of that, because Tembi wants to go for a walk. And that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, please, if you're so inclined, comment on it, think about it, meditate on it, and enjoy life. Bye.